Handicapper Steve here, handicapping the racing from Tampa Bay Downs here on Saturday. It is March the 9th, 2019. Gonna look at all the stakes races on Tampa Bay Derby Day, but before I get on to that, remember to please follow me on Twitter at HorseRacingKid5 for more selections for race courses around the world. So we have 5 stakes races to look at, all packaged into an all-stakes pick 5. So let's get on to it. The 7th race from Tampa, it's the Columbia Stakes per $75,000 races for 3-year-olds. Field of 11 horses going the distance of ground of 1,600 meters or the distance of ground of 1 mile on the Tampa lawn of the turf course. 1,600 meters, 1 mile. Rails at 0 feet, and I show that diagram. It just gives me a second to look down at my notes. Just bear with me. Top selection here in the Columbia. I'm going to take the number 8 horse, Digital Age. I'm going to go 8-3-10-9 in the superfecta. 8-3-10-9 super. In the pick 5, I would go 8-3. I think it's a 2-horse race between those two. But my top selection is the 8 horse Digital Age. 3-year-old colt by Invisible Spirit. Chad Brown trains. Ira Ortiz Jr. picks up the mount. The horse's only career outing came the 19th of January here at Tampa. 1 mile on main special weight for 20,000, and the horse went away with it, winning by 1 1/4 lengths. Snapped back early from a wide post draw after not the best beginnings, but had a great turn of foot at the end, and it went very nicely. Getting a 64 buy for that group was quite nice for that group. He's stepping to stakes company for the second time, but I just think, looking at the other horses, I think he's the, he looks like with a pedigree he should run well, and also his last run was very nice, and he's been training marvelously over at Palm Meadows. Most recent workout on the lawn, 4 furlongs of 50 and 2/5 of second, the 49th best workout 52, and a 4-furlong workout Palm Meadows, 4 furlongs 49 flat, the 19th best workout 48. I think he's rearing to go, and I think at 8-1 he's a live horse, so watch out for him. So to recap my selection for the 7th from Tampa, it's the Columbia Stakes. Gonna take the 8 horse Digital Age. I'm gonna go 8-3-10-9 in the superfecta. I'll go 8-3 in the pick 5. Race number 8 from Tampa, it's the Challenger Stakes. It's going for a purse of $100,000. This stakes. This race is for 4-year-olds and upwards. Field of 6 horses going the distance of ground of 1,700 meters or the distance of ground of 1 mile and 1/16th on the main track. 1,700 meters, mile 16th here on the main track. And something a little bit morbid. 3 races today are, they have the same names as disasters in, world history. The Challenger disaster with the Space Shuttle Challenger when it blew up. You have the Columbia Space Shuttle Columbia exploding disaster, and a lot of people don't remember the Hillsborough disaster, from England, from the football stadium where the people got crushed. Very sad thing, but I just found that weird. There's 3 races, that happen to have the same name as disasters on the program today from Tampa, but that's kind of weird. I don't want to be morbid, but it is weird. Let's get back to the horses. My top selection here in the Challenger, I'm going to take the 1-horse Flame Away. I'm going to go 1-2-4-6 in the superfecta, 1-2-4-6 super. In the multi-race, I'm going to single the 1-horse Flame Away. I think he's much the best horse here. This 4-year-old colt by Scat Daddy, Mark Cassie trains. Jose Ortiz picks up the mount. The horse's most recent outing came the 16th of February at the Fairgrounds, mile 16th in the Grade 3 Mineshaft handicap. First off the break, he finished 3rd by 3 lengths. He stalked early on, lacked a little bit of a closing kick because he kind of weakened out of it, but it was his first off the break. He needed the race. Also, that race was very, it was very loaded. I think coming here, second off the break, lesser quality horses, back to Tampa where this horse had a victory, I think will run a lot better. Before then, the Grade 3 Smarty Jones at Parks, mile 16th, August 25th. The horse finished 7th by 18 lengths, and as the, heavy favorite that day, he just dueled and weakened out of it. Wasn't the day to win. The winner, by the way, Axelrod, is running it today in Maidan in Dubai in the Burj Nahar, the local prep race for the Godolphin Miles. Just keep that in mind. And then before that, in the Jim Dandy at Saratoga, mile 8th, July 28th, the horse finished 2nd by 3/4 length behind Tenfold. He set the pace, but then he just kind of hit the wall a little bit at the end. Tenfold got to him, and then they ran this horse in the Ohio Derby where he ran crappy on the front and kind of weakened out of it. But this horse has won here at Tampa Bay in the Sam F. Davis. He won the Sam F. Davis by half length last year on the front of a very good race at 10-1, and then he nearly won the Tampa Derby about a year ago, finishing 2nd by length after not the best beginnings, but he had a great trip that day after that. I like this horse a lot. I think he'll get around the race course well, and second off the break, watch out for him. So to recap my selections for the 8th from Tampa, it's the Challenger Stakes. Going to go with the 1-horse Flame Away. I'm going to go 1-2-4-6 in the superfecta. Race number 9 from Tampa, it's the Hillsborough Stakes. It's a Grade 2 event going for a purse of $225,000. Race for fillies and mares, 4-year-olds and upwards. Field of 10 horses going the distance of ground of 1,800 meters, or the distance of ground of 1 mile and 1/8 on the turf course. 1,800, a mile and 1/8 on the turf. Top selection to Hillsborough. I like the number 7 horse here, Rimska. I'm going to go 7-2-8-3 in the superfecta. 7-2-8-3 super. Top selection to 7 horse Rimska. 5-year-old mare by Le Harvey. Chow Brown trains. Outrider Tees Jr. picks up the mounts. The horse's most recent outing came the 9th of February at Gulfstream, mile and 1/8 in the Shawnee River. The horse finished second by 2.5 lengths there, and he just never had a run. Stalked most of the race a little bit wide and just never quickened up. The horse's first start since December, so maybe she needed the race. Before that, she ran the 2nd of December at Del Mar on firm ground, 1 mile in the Grade 1 Matriarch, and she finished 6th by 3 lengths there. She had a very troubled trip from wide poster. You don't want to be wide at Del Mar on the lawn. Troubled trip, was wide throughout, but had a little bit of a turn of foot at the end. And then at Belmont, a mile 16th in the Grade 3 Athenia, the horse finished won that day by 2 1/4 lengths there. Stalked early on, had a great turn of foot, and just won very easily. It was a very good, impressive race there, getting a 105 buyer, which is that's impressive. And then before that, an obsolete claimer at Saratoga, 1 mile, started first. The horse finished second by a nose. Stalked early on, had the lead by a little bit, and then got caught right at the wire by Candy Store. First off the break, maybe the horse needed the race. And then before that, won the Winter Memories at Aqueduct in 2017 very nicely. I like this horse a lot here today. Should get a good trip, and I'll take her as a top selection. So to recap my selections for the 9th from Tampa, it's the Grade 2 Hillsborough. It's going to go as a top selection, 7 horse Rimska. I'm going to go 7-2-8-3 in the superfecta. I'm going to go, I think, if Rimska doesn't show up in the multi-race, I'm going to go 7-2-8-3. I'm going to go 4 deep here because I think you could possibly find a small price if Rimska doesn't show up. So now let's get to race number. Race number 10 from Tampa, it's the Florida Oaks Grade 3 event going for a purse of $200,000. Race for fillies, 3-year-olds here. Field of 11 horses going the distance of ground of 1,600 meters, or the distance of ground, 1,700 meters, or the distance of ground of 1 mile and 1/16 on the lawn, the turf course. 1,700, a mile 16th. And the Florida Oaks top selection, I'm going to take the 4 horse Elsa. I'm going to go 4-1-5-10 in the superfecta. 4-1-5-10 super. To the multi-race here, I'm going to go 4 deep here because I think it's all 4 of these horses in my super have a live chance. So 4-1-5-10 in the pick 5, excuse me. But top selection to 4 horse Elsa, 3 hopefully by Animal Kingdom. Michael Stidham trains. Godolphin Doan. Joe Bravo comes in from New Orleans to ride this one. Excuse me. The horse's most recent outing came the 9th of February at the Fairgrounds, 1 mile and 60,000 overnight stakes. The horse finished second by 1.5 lengths there. Just stalked most race after a wide trip, and he just couldn't get the good closing kick. First off the break, I think the horse needed the race. I think second off, this horse run a lot better. Before that, 24th of November at Del Mar, 1 mile in the Jimmy Durante Stakes. The horse won by 2 1/4 lengths, sat back early, had a great trip, and he won very nicely, a very good run there. And then you could throw out the race before at Laurel in the Salima on very waterlogged, almost heavy ground, 6 furlongs, 10 of the 22nd. The horse finished 7th by 13.5 lengths there, and it just didn't show up. The ground was a little bit too saturated. If the ground's saturated like that today, I'll be scared, but I think with most likely firm ground today, I think she'll get around the course well, and I think she'll really be sitting on a good race. She started her career out and at Laurel, breaking going 5.5 in the main special. He broke the main by 3 3/4 lengths. Stalked early on and just went away with it at the end. Could have won by more, but it doesn't get any easier than that. I think she'll like the 2 turns again today. Second off the break, I think she'll run well. Good post draw. Watch out for her. So to recap my selection for the 10th from Tampa, it's the Grade 3 Florida Oaks. Going to go with the 4 horse Elsa. I'm going to go 4-1-5-10 in the superfecta. Let's get to the 11th race. The featured 11th race from Tampa, it's the Grade 2 Tampa Bay Derby. It's going for a purse of $400,000. We have a field of 11 3-year-olds going the distance of ground of 1,700 meters, or the distance of ground of 1 mile and 1/16 on the Tampa Bay main track. 1,700 meters, 1 mile 16th. Years ago, there used to be another big derby this weekend. It was known as the Florida Derby. If you all remember, years ago, the Florida Derby used to be run the second weekend of March, because Gulfstream Park, years ago, back when Hialeah and Calder was a thing, and Gulfstream Park was only a mile in circumference, had a 7 furlong turf course, and wasn't year-round. Years ago, this used to be closing weekend for Gulfstream, or next week would be, one day in the middle of the week would be Gulfstream's closing week day, and this would be the final big weekend. You would have the Florida Derby, the Pan American, and all those big races today. But when Hialeah went defunct, they got all the better dates, and in 2005 they moved, when Gulfstream got renovated, they moved the Florida Derby to the early April. So this weekend, got the Tampa Bay Derby, and I think since they moved the Florida Derby, this race has become better and better. And it wouldn't surprise me in the next few years you see a Derby winner come out of Tampa. We did actually see a Derby winner come out of Tampa, but not this race. Always Dreaming actually won a Lowndes race, or broke his mane here a few years ago, and then he went on to win the Derby in 2017. So so it's since this race has been by itself, it's been getting better and better because better and better. Actually, I think Derby winner did actually win this race. I believe Super Saver won this race in 2007. But it's always a good race. Going back from a few minutes ago, from when I was talking about Florida Derby and Hialeah, years ago, this would be the Florida Derby, and then a few weeks later, Hialeah would open. Then you would have the Flamingo in a few weeks. But those races are all gone now, including Hialeah. Well, Hialeah is still there, but it's kind of like your old crazy grandfather running those stupid, 100-yard fake quarter horse races. But let's get back to the Tampa Bay Derby. My top selection, I'm going to go with the 6-horse Outshine. I'm going to go 6'4", 10'7" in the superfecta. 6'4", 10'7" super. Top selection 6-horse Outshine will be used on my pick 4, pick 5, along with the 4 and the 10. I think it's a 3-horse race between those two, but the top selection is 6-horse Outshine. This 3-0 colt by Malibu Moon. Top Ledger trains. Joel Rosario comes out from the West Coast ride. The horse's most recent outing came the 10th of February at Gulfstream. 7 furlongs and off 75 claimer. The horse won by 2 lengths that day. It was his first off a long break. He stalked early on, was a little bit wide, but he just took off at the end. It was a very good comeback race. Got an 83 Beyer speed figure, by the way. Before that, the 8th of June at Belmont, 5.5 in the in the listed Tremont Stakes. He finished 5th by 5 1/4 lengths there, and he just had nothing. Was very wide, and he just didn't show up. A little bit too soon. It wasn't the day to win. Also, I think the distance was too short. And then he broke his mane at Belmont on the completely stopped race course, 5/8 of a mile, main special weight 100,000, the Tremont Trials, like they call them. The horse won by 2 3/4 lengths, sat back early, but had a great turn of foot from a wide post run. He just took off clear. It was a very good run at the end. I like the way he's coming into this race with the workout patterns. 2 turns for the first time should suit him. Has a good post draw. Has a jockey that could be a little bit aggressive if he wants to. I think at 8-1, he'll really run a big race, so I'll use him here as a top selection. So to recount my selections for the feature 11th race from Tampa, it's the Grade 2 Tampa Bay Derby. Gonna go with the 6-horse Outshine. I'm gonna go 6'4", 10'7" in the superfecta. I'll go 6'4", 10 in the multi-race. So good luck to all, and please follow me on Twitter at Horse Racing Kit 5. Good luck.